Hello and welcome. I want to share Lady Eleanor's journal with you. But before I do that, I want to thank Debbie Ann at Ephemera's Vintage Garden for accepting me as a member of my first design team. It has been quite an adventure and one that I'm hoping that you will enjoy what I have made using Debbie Ann's lovely digis. Her visuals are lovely, and and it really does by itself tell the story of a Victorian woman and what her journal might be like. So here we have Eleanor's journal. It is 5.5 by 7 inches, and I took the liberty of doing it in loose leaf form. So before I open it, I thought I would share a quick glance at front and back. Let me undo the sari. And the cover has a layer of canvas on it that I stamped, front and back, here. It is attached to a loose leaf that was on sale, and I wanted to challenge myself to do something this small. And I thought this would be perfect, and I thought this would be a lovely size for Lady Eleanor to write in. So, on the cover, I have covered the spine with 3 hand-crocheted lace motifs, which I separated and glued down. On the front, I used a piece of my needlepoint canvas, which I stamped with in a flower design, and these 2 pieces are my hand-painted posies. There are 2 here, this one and this one. This is a piece of rather old doily, paper doily, which I darkened up just a little bit to add pizzazz, and then I used pieces of these hand dyed, not by me, crocheted bits, and a piece of tatting and a medallion in hand crochet. And there's one up here that is a more contemporary piece of lace from, I believe it's from Hobby Lobby. On the back, I decided to bring some of the front to the back here, and so I have a medallion of hand crocheted lace and some more 5 bits cut out from this same piece here. When I let it rest on my one of my tables, and I realized that I just thought she ought to have just the tiniest bit of something, and I chose just something quite simple. I attached 3 sets of 3 sequins. I thought she just needed a little something. It was a little bland. So let's go inside. Here we have a flip that I made, and when I attached it, because it just called for being in this journal, it flopped a bit. So I made a little crafting invention so that when it opens, you would not have it flopping too badly, because that's what it did. Until I tied her down. This is a photo from the Lady Eleanor's journal kit. Looks like a young boy. I did a little stenciling here. I did a little collaging. I used fabric as hinges, and more collaging here. I added this paper to the inside of the, I covered the inside with hand-dyed paper, and there are places in here. There's a little check that came with the kit, and I thought I would just add that there. And there's another place here for another a secret hiding place over there. So I think I'll give this a quick tie-up. This is a piece of my needlepoint Japanese silk that I stitched with. So, as a front cover, I had this this piece of ephemera. It was the flyleaf in a book, which I have since sold on Etsy. But I did make a copy because I loved it. What I loved about it was the script, the handwriting in that day and age, using that what I call dead black ink from 1904. And one of my subbies informed me that Euphemia was a ship, so that this was involving something to do with a ship that sailed at that time. And the color, the page had turned a beautiful color, and this is what my printer turned it into. So that had to be the front cover. And here we start with some of Debbie Ann's lovely papers, so fit for a journalist of the time. And here's another photo, which is part of Debbie Ann's kit also. But the thing that I particularly chose this one was because of the fall colors, and we are in fall now, and I just thought that these looked particularly fallish. I followed through with these bits from the cover here because I just, it's a very strange color. It's, heavens knows what the person who was dyeing this with used, but I just love it. It's, I think, in Eleanor's time, this color would have been called Ashes of Roses. And here it comes here and here, so I put that there. On the back of this, I covered it and stenciled and added some lace. I did not stencil, but I collaged and added some lace. And here, this is a piece of paper that I added to the book. And I added stenciling and some of the kit, some pieces I had, and pieces from the kit, and some of my stash. And I greened this one up a little bit to bring up the colors that we see here. And this envelope was in my in one of my drawers, and I decided to attach a collage on the front and a piece of writing on the inside. And I'm going to put this back, and then I'm going to pop back and show you that one. Okay, she is, this one is, Birdie is right here, and these little silver clips work so beautifully with the silver here. And back here on the first page, this is part of the kit, and I love that dark, heavy script, and so I turned this into an envelope. I did some stamping, and I added a bit of collage for another writing place, and so that I put this way because I wanted to bring over the idea of the dark script. And so let's get back to where we were. On the next page is another of the envelopes in the kit, and I added some of the part of the kit had a binding from an old book, and I used part of it. I used part of it here, and it lapped over a little bit, and so I added the rest here, and inside some stamping and a piece of my hand-dyed paper. And this is a page from the kit, and isn't it just her the flowers and the botanicals are just lovely, and a very light, shadowy stamp. It looks like it might have been embossed onto paper. Here, again, I did a bits and bobs added to the back of this paper, and another one, and I used some of my old lace here. Plenty of room for Lady Eleanor to journal. Here is another double, it was a single sheet of paper, but I turned it into, each time that I came to this sort of a page in the journal, I thought of a way that I could make them a spread, so I cut them very carefully so that they would fit here, facing each other, and have a story to tell. And I love this one because of the coloration and the eco-dyed leaves. And here's some more of the lace. And on the back of this one, I had fun adding bits and collage bits to this sheet. This is a piece of my that purchased coffee-dyed lace paper. And here, this was a picture that I had in my ephemera, so I backed it with some vintage music, and did some of the stamping with the handy-dandy brushes that we're now using. And on here, I used my printer to make a copy on heavyweight printer paper of an oil painting that I did on canvas, and so these are mine, and I thought they would. I thought it would work out quite nicely here. And then when we come over here, I wanted to bring these colors over to this side, and I found this in my one of my little basket stashes, and so that takes care of that one. And here we have another single sheet from the kit that I found the best way to bring out the best parts, the parts that I like the most, to include here. So many thoughtful little, here you can see where I cut the paper, and I added lace on that one, and then on the back more collaging. And this is a piece of the one of the pages in the kit. And here I included a piece of eco-dyed paper, and I gilded the lily by doing some very pale stenciling. And I just added this little bit of, oh, I love this, and I didn't want to take away from it, so this little piece of cheesecloth, some music, and one of the tags from the kit, and another envelope from my stash, in which I decided I needed to bring some birdies to Lady Eleanor. So I did the front there, and stamped the inside of the back, and included a piece of journaling paper. So this one is here. This one is here. That's the way it's supposed to be because of the coloring here. Oh, this was such an adventure for a newbie like me. I just had more fun than is possible to believe. I added another piece of coffee-dyed paper with one of my pictures from, I believe it was from my Thurber book, and another little bit of stenciling. And on the back, I made a copy of one of the watercolor pieces I had just done, and I cut it around, and I just added that here because I thought it played well here. And on this lovely piece here, I decided that I just had to play some more with my sandwich bags, and I just couldn't resist. And thank you, Rachel, Roxy Creations, for introducing me to this fun. So this is a page from Lady Eleanor's journal, and I took the bag and turned it into a little mini journal. In the back, I put another piece of this piece that I painted, and this was a picture from the kit, and this was a poem by Robert Louis Stevenson from the kit. This is a bit more of that oil painting of mine, and more pieces of ephemera from the kit, and then I just added some bits of paper for journaling. And so I didn't want to do too much of this because the book would have gotten she's quite chunky now, and I didn't really want to push it over the edge. So I think I've managed to get the best of both worlds going here. Here is another of the sheets of ephemera from the kit that I cut to tell this story, and I added this piece to the fold on the cellophane bag because the green I thought went very nicely here, and this lace again goes beautifully with the aged sepia in this picture and here. And another, this was my ode to fall because there are so many touches of fall in this paper. I also added a piece of avocado dyed paper here. More stenciling, and a birdie again, and bits of fabric and hand-colored cheesecloth from my collection. And I added this just because I thought the colors were so perfect for this and this and this. So here it is. If this book was had a 3-inch spine, I'd still be going and enjoying every bit of it. Another, hydrangeas. And here's the first lace that I put into the journal. And my favorite page. Debbie Ann, you've gotten it all here. A picture of a bride and groom of the era. More of this lovely postal cards, a piece of lace on the back of an envelope, a picture from a magazine or a journal, maybe like Harper's of the era. And so, the last piece down here, I divided this into quarters, so this was the last bottom piece. Back here, I wanted to follow through on some fallish colors a little bit, and I used my my painter's paper and some numbers, and such fun. This was the last inclusion that I added, and I didn't do anything here because this beautiful pale peachy pink and this beautiful leaf, I think, speaks for itself. So on this side, I used a piece from the kit and another piece as a journaling card. There we go. And the last page, the one that I was all not thinking straight on and wondering how I was going to attach this lace. Well, I finally thought at night and woke up the next morning to receive a sweet and lovely suggestion from one of my subbies, Carol. Sew it. Okay, yes, well, here are 2 bits of paper from a chopped journal that I did year before last, in 2017, and I've turned those into journaling cards, and this is acrylic that I had used to cover some of the pages in the magazine. And what a lovely place to be able to include them. And I thought the colors worked so well for this journal, so that goes in here. And on the back, I added this card because I wanted to play up the little bit of yellow and green that we have over here. And this, I added this to the back, and one of the pieces of from the kit, and a parrot, because parrots were big must-haves in the Victorian era. So this is her parrot, and back here, hidden away, I have some pieces of ephemera from the kit. They could have been her friends, they could have been her child's friends, they could have been hers. I don't know, but isn't that quite the story to tell? And let me get this one out. And back here. Yes, I do believe I have stashed something away in here also. Yes, I have. Or not. I think I decided not to in this case, and I put them both back here because I was afraid that this would get used and mutilated too easily. So that's right there. And this is a paper that I sprayed in one of my adventures in learning how to do. I was going to do dyeing of paper, and dyeing of paper is not my thing. So I do hope that you have enjoyed my visit with Lady Eleanor's Journal, and I want to again thank Debbie Ann for giving me this opportunity. And I am going to be sharing this, and I do hope that you will consider giving me a thumbs up, leave a comment. Oh, I'm really anxious to hear what you have to say about my jumping off the deep end and design team membership, and I would appreciate your subscribing to my channel. Let me get a close up here. These are watercolor. These are my watercolors on watercolor paper with doodling. This is a piece of paper. And the back. This was the original stamping that is on the front also, hidden away now, but and these I added because this is the stamping that I did on the piece of needlepoint. So, thank you for joining me today. Bye now.